kami, ang aking constituents ay umiinda pagka iniipit ang release ng mga pondo. Distinguished sponsor,
Gladly, Mr. Speaker, with deep privilege to be interpellated by my friend and the better Marcoleta, if I may say so.
it is with great honor to stand along with the dashing and debonair Deputy Speaker, my idol since the 14th Congress.
Does that mean you're terminating your interpellation?
No, although most of my questions were already asked by the Honorable Nasal. So I have a reduced set of questions, distinguished sponsor, Mr. Chair. Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor, while going over the draft bill, I would say that the bill is essentially an ayuda bill to address or to mitigate the impact of the existing fuel crisis. So it's primarily an ayuda-based legislation. Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
With due respect, I cannot conform to that position because, in fact, the ayuda portion of the bill is not even 20% of the bill. But if I may just explain, with the indulgence of my colleague, is that what we're really trying to establish here is a framework to be provided to the executive in times of energy emergencies in the future. So hindi lang po para sa taon na ito, kundi sa mga hinaharap pa. That's why nilalagay po natin, hindi nga tayo naglagay po, existing frameworks lang tayo ng assistance. Yun ang una. Kasi ang the first thing that needs to be done is obviously to stop the bleeding. What we want to do is in any crisis, particularly oil, we know for a fact that the oil crisis, there is only one basic sector that is really hit, and that is transportation. So, but if we are unable to address transportation immediately, that disease spreads to other parts of the economy, going to food because of logistics, and when food inflation increases, or that is the biggest component of economic inflation. So, what this does is actually not set aside funds. What it does is actually make the first aid or the emergency room activity more structured, less politicized, because we are requiring them to come up with a interoperable database on different sectors: fisherfolk, farmers, jeepney, TODA, TNVS, that are reliable and that are accurate and truthful, which will also show the economic status of each one. So each time there is an energy crisis that takes place again, government's reaction is very automatic. But the other aspects, Mr. Chair, I'd like to point out, really refers to granting the administrator or the executive the power to use its savings to be able to address emergency measures, but at the same time to give them also power to suspend taxes. We placed here the power to suspend taxes not only on excise, but also on value-added tax, so that the executive will have more leeway to see how to dampen the effect on our ordinary individuals or ordinary folks. So yun po, hindi lang po siya ayuda.
Thank you very much for that reply, distinguished sponsor. What I mean by raising that question is that by giving ayuda, hindi ko naman po sinasabi ng ayuda hindi importante. Ngunit ito po ay temporary relief lang para sa ating mga nasasakupan. Ang gusto ko po sanang sagot ng ating distinguished sponsor ay kung paano natin malulutas ang supply disruption ng ating langis dahil ito po ang pinagmumulan ng problema natin. Nung nagkaroon po ng digmaan sa gitnang silangan, essentially yung supply natin, yung supply chain ng langis ay nagkaroon ng problema. So, tinitignan ko po yung bill. Medyo ako po yung nakukulangan sa provision, sa paghahanap ng solusyon para matugunan yung problema ng paghahanap ng supply ng langis. Ang inaasahan ko sanang sagot, Mr. Speaker, sana nakapaloob din sa bill yung paghahanap ng mga alternative new sources of supply. Halimbawa, dito sa Southeast Asia, exporter naman ng Malaysia, ang Brunei, bakit di natin explore yung posibilidad na magkaroon ng mga panibagong trade agreement sa mga bansang ito, imbes na tayo ay umaasa lamang sa gitnang silangan para sa ating oil supply. Yun lamang po ang aking katanungan.
Tama po kayo. Very valid po ang point ni Ms. Speaker, ni Congressman Marcoleta. Kung titingnan po ninyo sa buong provisions po natin, paulit-ulit po tayo doon na tinutulak o minamandato ang gobyerno na mag-develop ng indigenous. Malinaw po sa Section 20, nakalagay talaga, indigenous energy, renewable energy, and electric mobility support. Itong provision po na ito, section po na ito, ay ang patungkol talaga ay kung paano ang ating bansa inuutos ng Kongreso sa executive na lumayo at maging less dependent po sa langis. So lahat po ng itinutulak natin dito ay to address, tama po yung concern ninyo, wala po itong provision na ito dati, pero inilagay po natin ito because ayaw po natin ng pansamantala lamang na pagkilos pagdating sa krisis. Gusto po natin maging resilient ang ating ekonomiya, sang-ayon po ako sa inyo, kaya nilagay po natin ito dito. So bukod sa pagtutulak ng indigenous, meaning dito lang sa Pilipinas, sa panggagalingan, binibigyan din natin ng tax incentives ang iba't ibang mga pamamaraan, ang employers, kahit po ang mga pamilya, ang kumpanya, kung sila po ay nagtutulak para po ang kuryente nila ay maging solar or solarization, binibigyan po natin sila. Kung ikaw po ay employer na nagpapautang ng car plan, bibigyan at papahintulutan po namin kayo na gamitin ito bilang deduction sa gross income para i-encourage po sila na wag na pong maging dependent sa krudo. So, halos lahat po dito, pati po yung ating mga tax incentives, ay pagtulak doon sa sinasabi po ni Congressman Paulo Marcoleta na ang kailangan talagang direksyon ay bawasan natin or if at all, to eliminate our dependence on oil. Because once we are able to do that, kahit ano pong gera sa Middle East, kahit anong bakbakan po nila doon, ay hindi na po tayo dapat naapektuhan or kung naapektuhan man tayo, ay hindi po ganun kabigat o lalim ang epekto.
Opo, pero hindi pa po natin masasabi na sa ngayon ay pwede na tayong makahulagpos sa ating dependence sa petroleum products. Ano po ba ang percentage ng in terms of fossil-based petroleum consumption ng vehicles as opposed to EV? Ano po bang ratio sa ngayon?
Sa public utility vehicles po na pinakaapektado ang inflation ay wala pa hong 1% sa kabuuan ng public utility vehicles ay electric. So ito isang bagay na kailangan mas ma-address talaga natin dahil ito ang pangunahing tama pagdating sa ating ordinary na mananakay po.
Opo. Thank you, distinguished sponsor, Mr. Speaker. Napansin ko po na ang ating panukalang batas ay nakatuon sa mga problemang transport sector related. Halimbawa, allowance, transportation allowance, ganyan, gas, fuel allowance, ganyan. So ito po ay nakatuon lamang sa transport sector. Pero kung tutusin natin, itong crisis na ito is all-encompassing. Apektado rin po dito ang pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin, pangunahing bilihin, tulad ng pagkain, at pagtaas ng utilities tulad ng kuryente. Pwede po bang, is the distinguished sponsor open to amending this bill to accommodate other provisions, halimbawa, other relief like extension of loan payments sa mga bahay, prohibition on increase in rent sa mga bahay at sa tuition fees, halimbawa. Tuition fees, dahil apektado lahat ang middle class dito. Hindi lang, I would like to believe na hindi lang ito transport related crisis, kundi it's an all-encompassing crisis that we need to address. Na apektado lahat. Hindi lang po ang ating modality sa pagtransport, kundi yung pagkain natin, utilities natin, yung rent na binabayaran ng karaniwang manggagawa, yung tuition na ibinabayad pang matrikula ng mga magulang. Wala po ba tayong provision para sa mga yon at open po ba kayo na magkaroon ng provision para sa iyon? Dahil sa Bayanihan Bill, I believe they covered almost entirely yung pong mga hinanaing ng ating taong bayan nung panahon ng COVID-19.
Mr. Speaker, yung lahat ng sinabi ng ating kasama ay halos lahat nasa Section 15. Page 15, ito ang temporary moratorium on loan, rental, and utilities payments, where the consumer, regardless in fact of the situation of the consumer, is given a 30-day moratorium in terms of payments of principal as well as interest payments. Aside from that, the rental payments are likewise included as part of a grace period over a 30-day period. Electric bills, pag-atas sa ating mga electric utilities, water utilities, telecom, ay meron ding 30-day grace period na ibinibigay. Dahil kinikilala po natin na ang epekto po ng krisis na ito ay hindi lamang po sa transportation, kundi sa iba't iba pang sektor o bahagi ng ating lipunan. Gusto ko rin pong idagdag na maliban sa transportation sector ay malaki po sa ating mga programa ang ating ilalagay po rito ay pagdating po sa pagkain. Ito po ang Section 12 on fuel and fertilizer support na kung saan hindi po natin napagpasyahan po natin na imbis binibigyan natin ng ayuda o pera ang ating mga magsasaka at hindi tayo natitiyak na ito ba'y dinadala sa pagsasaka, ay gagawin talaga nating in the form of vouchers as well as para dating sa fuel discounts para sa kanilang mga traktora, para pagdating po sa logistics at pagdala ng kanilang mga ani para madala sa palengke, including hauling. Meron din po tayo for food producers, hindi lang po ng palay, ng mais, kundi ng aquaculture, isda, pati po livestock, manok, at saka, or poultry, at saka baboy. So, kinakover po natin sila lahat na po dito dahil alam po natin na kailangan po silang mabigyan ng atensyon tulad po ng sinasabi ng ating distinguished colleague.
Thank you, distinguished sponsor, Mr. Speaker. Pero sa binanggit niyo po na ayuda, hindi po nabanggit yung dito, yung educational assistance. Lalong-lalo po ngayon, panahon ng Mayo, ilang linggo na lang, o ngayon, ongoing na po ang enrollment. And the middle class sector is bearing the brunt nitong pagtaas po ng presyo ng produktong petrolyo. Baka wala na po silang nailaan para sa pangmatrikula ng kanilang mga anak. Meron po tayo bang pwedeng ipasok dito sa educational assistance? Kasi kinover natin ang utilities, kinover natin ang pataba, kinover natin ng para sa transport sector, sa mga drivers. Halos lahat po yan, may mga anak na pinag-aaral.
Mr. Speaker, meron po tayong sa Section 11 on Paragraph A na nilalagay talaga natin for low-income and near-poor households. So hindi lang po sa 4-piece, kundi doon po sa mga taong isang hakbang na lang po ay papunta na po below the poverty line. Meron po tayong mga emergency cash transfers na ang in fact pangunahing magiging isa sa mga pangunahing purposes dyan ay for educational. So ito po ang nakikita naming isang dahilan o isang paraan para ma-address po yung sinasabi po nating concern.
Thank you, distinguished sponsor. Mr. Speaker, tinitignan ko rin po yung bill. Wala pong specific na amount na naka-indicate sa mga emergency cash transfers, sa mga grants, fuel subsidies, fuel vouchers, fuel cards. It does not specify the inclusions. Ano po ang halaga na ibibigay in terms of fertilizer support, fuel and operating support. Wala pong specific na halaga na nakasaad dito.
Mr. Speaker, ang dahilan po dyan ay natuto na po tayo sa bayanihan na ayaw po natin na one time, big time lang po ang ating batas na ipapasa. Ang nais po natin ay mabigyan ng framework ang ating pamahalaan. Kaya't hindi po tayo naglalagay ng mga halaga because several years from today ay hindi na yun ang akma na maaaring halaga. Dalawang bagay ang kailangan i-consider is number one, ano yung actual need or the demand side, ano ba yung halaga na yun. Hindi natin ma-determine today kung ano yung need 2 years from today, kung yung ba'y sapat. Pangalawa, ay kailangan din natin makita kung ano yung available savings na pwede natin makuha para po ma-address yung energy emergency crisis. So, lilinawin ko lang po parati is, ang pinagkaiba nito sa bayanihan ay, ang bayanihan, ang buong ekonomiya ay talaga nakadapa. Walang makalabas ng sariling mga tahanan, kaya't kinailangan po natin ma-address ito. Ang thrust po ng Kalinga Bill is to address a temporary, short-term crisis, which is energy crisis. So, ang ginagawa po natin is binibigyan natin ng framework para mas nakaka-react po ang ating gobyerno ng mabilisan, pero at the same time, naglalagay po tayo ng limits.
Pwede naman po natin, distinguished sponsor, Mr. Speaker, na hindi naman natin sasabihin na one time lang tong assistance. Pwede natin sabihin regular emergency cash transfers to qualified low-income and near-poor households in the amount of blank, etc., etc. Ibig sabihin, pwede naman periodic tong assistance natin eh. Hindi naman common nilagay na ito yung amount. Hindi naman sinasabi na ito ay one-shot deal lang o one-time, big-time lang, kumbaga, na ayuda sa ating mga constituents. One more thing, distinguished sponsor, Mr. Speaker. On the earmarking funds for subsidies and direct cash assistance. Section 27 of the bill imposes an additional 5% excise tax on non-essential goods and services, with the tax going towards fuel subsidies and direct cash assistance. Can the distinguished sponsor commit to an amendment that ensures that the collection by the Bureau of Internal Revenue is automatically remitted to the fund for the implementation of the Kalinga program?
Well, even more than that, Mr. Speaker, not only are we agreeing to an amendment, but in fact, the most recent version that we have distributed has already entirely scrapped that provision. So Section 27 is no longer in existence. It has, because after due consideration, we have seen that it is very difficult to implement. So, tinanggal na po namin yon.
Okay, thank you, distinguished sponsor. Mr. Speaker. Since the bill is almost entirely about distribution of assistance. Can the distinguished sponsor assure na ito pong implementation o yung pamamahagi po ng ayuda will not be politicized or weaponized to favor political allies? Kasi nakalagay po sa ating provision, the LGUs can be tapped to implement the distribution of the incentives or itong mga stipends. What safeguards are in place that will make sure that the Kalinga program will not be politicized or weaponized to favor only political allies and to marginalize perceived political adversaries?
That's a very valid point, Mr. Speaker. In fact, we have placed in Section 8 as a mandate to the executive that it comes up with finally a verified database system that is interoperable, that has common beneficiary registries, and at the same time instructing the executive to develop a system of distribution that will not entail beneficiaries having to be gathered where they have to listen to politicians, so that the executive will now use the existing flow or existing electronic transfer systems. So I agree with you, Mr. Speaker, that we need to ensure that this will not be politicized, and these are the basic items that we have placed, if only to avoid it from being politicized.
Thank you, distinguished sponsor. Dahil gusto ko rin kasing sabihin na kami, ang aking constituents ay umiinda pagka iniipit ang release ng mga pondo. Katulad po ngayon, yung AIX ko, pati yung tupad ay were put on hold. At pagka ginagawa po kasi yun, yung pag-ipit o pag-hold ng pondo, hindi po yung representante o yung partido ang nasasaktan, yung pong mga constituents. Kaya sana po hindi po maulit ito. Habang ito ating binabalangkas, maging universal yung aplikasyon nito at wala pong sisinuhin kung ikaw kaalyado ba o kalaban sa politika. Dapat po, basta't nangangailangan yung bayan na yun, kailangan matugunan po ng kaukulang ayuda.
Sang-ayon po ako dyan. In fact, na-raise na po yan ng Mr. Speaker ni Congressman Marcoleta noong nakaraan. Sabi nga po natin is part and parcel of this very specific section is really mandating the executive to come up with a database system that is not subject to political intervention. At kung ano man ang distribution system na gagawin, ay dapat electronic para automatic kapag nagko-qualify ka dyan sa interoperable, verified database system, wala na pong nakikialam. Diretso na po yan. Kung yan man po ay galing sa DA, yan man po ay galing sa Bureau of Fisheries, galing sa DSWD, diretso na po ito sa beneficiaries, hindi na po dumadaan sa politiko.
Opo, hindi na po kailangan tawagan si Secretary Rex
Opo.
or si Speaker
Opo.
para i-release ang mga pondo.
Opo, dahil hindi rin po siya magiging epektibo sa totoo lang po kung mamimili tayo. Dahil ang gusto natin pigilan dito is inflation. Ayaw natin tumaas ang presyo ng bilihin. Kapag mamimili ka at merong maghihirap na tao, lalo kung nasa transportation sector yan, maapektuhan din tayong lahat. So that's why we really have to make the response non-political as much as we can.
Thank you for that reply, Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor. On preventing the pass-through nature of the windfall profit tax, Section 26 of the bill introduces a 15% windfall profit tax on covered petroleum products based on net profits. This is a commendable provision. since it allows the generation of internal revenue without incurring new debt. Can this representation be assured that this provision for a tax will not be a pass-through tax ultimately imposed upon consumers? And can the legislation provide for a guardrail that will protect our consumers from an additional tax on products and services?
Yes, the point is very well taken. We will make sure that this will not be something that will be passed on to the consumer. But more importantly, I think what is important here is if petroleum companies are able to partake of great profits during times of crisis, since we are not regulating prices because of the oil deregulation at the moment, then whatever income they make, they have to share with the national government, which in turn can use these for energy emergency action or programs that will be needed.
And following that question, distinguished sponsor, can the good sponsor of this bill include or welcome an amendment that will explicitly prohibit the inclusion of this tax in retail pump pricing? With this, any violation to this prohibition should be treated as price manipulation, which should hold entities liable for administrative and criminal penalties under the law.
I agree that it should have a penal provision. We likewise discussed that. Your point is well taken. But we were informed by the BIR that there are already the necessary measures and penal provisions under the National Internal Revenue Code that can be applied. The question you raised was a question we also raised, but the BIR said that there is no need because those penalties, as mentioned by the distinguished colleague, is already set forth in the National Internal Revenue Code.
Thank you very much, distinguished sponsor. Mr. Speaker, I think this is the final question.
I hope it's not the final nail on the coffin.
On renewable energy corporate tax incentives to help lower the utility and consumer product prices. Section 24 of the bill provides an incentive to business enterprises for a 50% special deduction from gross income for ordinary and necessary expenses incurred when shifting to renewable energy products and systems. Can the certified business enterprises who will benefit from this incentive be required to recompute and lower retail prices of products or services based on the effect of shifting to renewable energy products and systems? Considering that business enterprises will enjoy the generous incentive of the deduction, the legislation should ultimately have an effect that will help ease challenges to the cost of living.
The purpose here, Mr. Speaker, is when we provide the 50% deduction from gross income, is essentially to encourage all these businesses to incur capital outlay. Meaning, otherwise, they would not be spending for these. But since we want our economy to get away from oil, we are encouraging companies, gumastos po kayo. Gastos kayo dito para sa energy saving, particularly solarization. And in exchange, kahit mapapagastos kayo, hindi scheduled, ay bibigyan kayo namin ng pagkakataon para magkaroon kayo ng deduction. So, if we penalize them or we impose additional taxes for additional income that they will make, might run contrary to the very reason why we're giving the incentive. But if only to assure our distinguished colleague, let's not forget that whatever income they make will still be subjected to corporate income tax, which currently is one of the highest in Southeast Asia. So, magbabayad naman po sila ng tax. So, gusto lang natin talaga sila ma-encourage sa gumastos para po mas maging less dependent tayo sa fossil fuel pagdating sa energy.
Opo, ang binabanggit ko po hindi po yung pag-impose ng additional tax, kundi yung pagbababa or pag-adjust ng mga presyo ng kanilang mga retail products. Kasi meron nga silang incentive So, inaasahan ko na bababa rin yung presyo ng kanilang mga produce.
At this point in time, I think that's going to be, if I may, Mr. Speaker, that's going to be an administrative activity on the part of the DTI, the BIR, in terms of the e-vehicle law. There are already incentives that are put in place there, and we don't want to disrupt that. What we're simply trying to do here is really develop a framework of incentives so that we can incentivize them to leave or go to solarization.
Thank you, distinguished sponsor. Mr. Speaker, I have no more questions. Thank you.